What up, what up, what up, what up? Alright, enough with the messaging. Everybody's
In 90
fucking
years,
texting
we thought
me.
we'd seen it all. From fires and hurricanes to animal antics we could laugh about later. But we haven't seen this.
COVID, is that you? I did not mean to do that. Did not mean to press that button. Yeah. Good morning with your quarantine. Good afternoon. Well, it's 11 something. It's almost noontime. Yeah, it's almost 12. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Trap House Art and Education with your quarantine streams. Got some beats and some corner freestyles, yeah. I got some really good green. And I'ma smoke it and I be loud, yeah. And I get hype. And I don't write. Just corner freestyles. Put it right in your eyesight. Okay, that's enough. Just want to welcome everybody. Get the vibes high. Let me get myself high too. Hey. Thirsty, man. I'm thirsty, man. That water go down like water. Yeah. Gotta guzzle water, just in order to keep your organs in order. Gotta guzzle water, just in order to keep your organs in order. I guzzle water, high quality H2O. You know I spit and you know I flow. Cause I got the hydro, let it go. And it just flows down my throat, filling up my blood cells. And I do it very well. Then the next step, trying to get my shit organized right here real quick. I got chapstick and a glue stick. Man, you don't want to grab the wrong one. I'm gonna fucking glue your lips closed. Let me put that to the side. All right. Working on the underpainting today. So my ceiling is gradually getting worse and worse as this weather continues to fucking hate on me so bad, yo. I don't know how I feel, man. I feel these motherfuckers could have came out this week and did that shit, honestly. They gotta push that shit faster than that. But they say they'll be out here on Tuesday to finish filing the claim and all that shit, but ain't no telling how long it'll be before the repairs actually get started, yo. And the longer they wait to get this shit done, the more damage is gonna be to fucking repair, yo. Cause the guy came in the first day, he came when it was Wednesday or Thursday, he came and looked at it. It wasn't as bad as it was now because it rained again last night. Man, that shit got worse. So now the damage he assessed the first time, you're gonna have to reevaluate that shit, yo. I just want my shit fixed. But I already anticipate this shit, you know what I'm saying? That's everybody said, yo, when you buy a house, man, all the problems, especially an older house, an old house like this.
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly.
If you build your own house from the ground up, or buy a brand new house in a subdivision somewhere, you don't got too much shit to worry about. For the most part, you know, if you're lucky, all the new shit just works well. I got an old ass house, so I already knew like they're gonna be this popping up and they're gonna be that, not knowing exactly what, but I know shit gonna pop up. Just like now, motherfucking roof leaking. But that was due to weather damage, which I'm insured for. So what it do? But I think they're gonna start lifting the stay-at-home orders in some states as long as you wear a mask when you go out. That's not bad. But how you gonna go to the bar like that though? You can't go to the bar with a mask on. How you gonna drink? You can't go to the movies with a mask on. How you gonna eat your popcorn? Think about it. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Yeah. Pointing out the obvious. What rhymes with obvious? I can't think of a word that rhymes with obvious, yo. This is fucked up. You'll probably have to put like there's some words, but I can't think of nothing that makes sense though. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Yeah, I'm just pointing out the obvious. I'm just pointing out the obvious. You can't drink and wear a mask. Think about it. You can't smoke and wear a mask. Oh. A little at a time. You don't want to let it all out at once. They say inhale the dro, exhale it slow. That's how you know you're really absorbing all the vitamins and nutrients. You know what I'm saying? The herbal essence. I'm just pointing out the obvious. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Yeah. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Not a communist, but still give you a sloppy kiss. See, I told you I can rhyme some shit. It don't make sense though, but it rhymes a little bit. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Yeah. I'm just pointing out the obvious. No, I'm not a communist and still give me a sloppy kiss. Cause that shit don't make no sense. Really don't. But I'm pointing out the obvious. You can't drink with a mask on. You can't smoke with a mask on. Still singing that sad song and I'm just pointing out the obvious. Just pointing out the obvious. Alright, one more. This is gonna be the last one. Okay, I'm about to smoke up all my bud. wake and bake. I was up early. I couldn't sleep last night. Yeah, I got up like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Could not go back to sleep. Yeah, I just played the fucking game for hours. I was up like.
When you play the Game of Thrones,
Then I went back to sleep. Then I just woke up.
Or you die.
When you play that Game of Thrones, I might watch that shit over again, yo. Game of Thrones was hot. Except the last season, they really didn't know how to end this shit, so they kind of fucked the last few episodes up. It was really weird. But like the first couple seasons was good as shit, yo. Game of Thrones, love that show. So we're working on a underpainting. The falsification of African consciousness, Eurocentric history, psychology, and politics of white supremacy. Might actually listen to a little bit of this lecture while I'm working on this piece. AB on the track, yeah. Been making pretty good progress on this piece so far. Hopefully I can at least get her blocked in today, and maybe work on the book in the background tomorrow or later this evening. It's Saturday, I don't got shit to do. Quarantine streams, be in the house all day. But when I'm in the house all day, I got shit to do. Man, damn, I meant to put my laundry in the wash before I came up here. Still gotta do that. Gotta do laundry. I gotta vacuum. Gotta wash dishes. Take something out for dinner. Gotta paint. Gotta play video games. Need to try to finish reading this book this weekend. Only got like a few more chapters in it to go. Need to take some pictures of some still lifes for some smaller paintings I want to do. My homeboy sent me some beats. I can be writing, like really sit down and like stop with the stupid freestyles and try to write a good song again. I'm good in the house. I got shit to do. Got that one puzzle I can put together. Been meaning to do that shit. Got a 1,000-piece puzzle. Need to just dump that shit out on the table and work on that shit for a little while. But there's always shit to do in the house, man. You just gotta entertain yourself. Everybody wouldn't watch all the damn silly ass hype shows on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, man. I had picked this book up. I seen this at a yard sale. Heard about this book back in the day. Dan Brown. He's pretty famous for a novel that he wrote. Dan Brown wrote a book called The Da Vinci Code. I actually have a copy of the Da Vinci Code. It's crazy because my homeboy's mom told me to read the book. This was way back in the day. I was still living in Philly, yo. Like, I left Philly when I was like, the first time, like 20, I had to be like 19, yo. And we were having a conversation about something. His mom was having like a little woman's get together at her crib, and me and him was hanging out that day, and he had to go by his mom's crib for something. Cool lady, yo. She actually she commissioned a painting from me back in the day too, one of my earlier commissions. But really, really cool, really smart lady. Her house is full of books. Yo. She got a really good library in the house. Loves to read. Really, really smart woman. And so she was having like her and her homegirls were hanging out. She had like 4 or 5 of her friends over there, and they were just talking or whatever. And we came over to do something, and it wasn't like a rush thing, like we were rushing in and rushing out, because it's his mom, and so he was speaking to her, and he knew some of her friends, and because they've been friends for years and knew him since he was little, so he was happy to see some of them, and they were just having a conversation, and somehow we got into the conversation, and it got into like, it turned into politics, and
more demand than ever. Walmart and the Walmart Foundation have committed.
And I was like, I said one thing. I was like, something about if I said the world would function and operate different if all the world leaders were female. And that's just a given. That's just, women think different, and women analyze situations differently, and there's nothing wrong with, men and women thinking different. We think alike on a lot of things, but I don't know. Like, I think and I said that like when I said this was years ago, and the conversation went on a little bit, and then my homeboy he disputed my argument, and saying that women are too sensitive and this and that, and then of course the women were backing me. And then a little while later on, his mom said, "You know what, Travis? I got something you should read." I was like, "Really?" And then she was like, "Yeah, I want you to read this book." And she goes to her bookshelf, and she pulls out Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. And I honestly think it was just, my participation in the conversation, and more or less the comment I made about women. And so I read that book like a long time ago. And Dan Brown says that what prompted him to write that book is he read this book. So the author of the Da Vinci Code read this book before he wrote the Da Vinci Code. And he said that some of the stories and some of the information that he gathered, from Holy Blood, Holy Grail, was a lot of the foundation for what he used in the Da Vinci Code. So I saw this at a yard sale somewhere, and grabbed it, picked it up real quick. But haven't even cracked it open. I haven't even skimmed over one page yet, just to even see. But whoever read it, they got this far at chapter 8. But it's supposed to be the real history of Jesus Christ, which is you guys already know, but I'm thinking they're trying to take the biblical account literal, that Jesus the Christ was a real person. Now, I don't know if the authors of this book are asserting that he was born of an immaculate conception and he was a divine being man and God in one. I'm not sure if that's exactly the conclusion they come to. And even when Dan Brown alludes to this literature, he doesn't specifically say that that was the conclusion that they reached, that Christ was a divine being. But I think more or less they want to say that there may have been a person named Yahshua ben Odin or whatever the fuck Christ's real name was. But they say they may have been this person, and his fucking deeds have just got blown out of proportion, and now he's this mythical figure when it really wasn't anything like that. And more than likely, from the back of it says that Jesus, Mary, and father a child are his descendants alive today. And then if Jesus married and fathered children and actually had, intercourse to produce offspring, then there is nothing there. He is not the divine being that the Bible describes, because the Bible describes a character who never succumbed to the flesh, which is weird, for a man not to want to be with a woman, when in the original story of man and woman, which is also weird because God act like he didn't know that Adam would want a mate. He's like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, but that men need women and women need men. But then you have this character who supposedly never had, the urges of the flesh to be with a woman. And he was just perfect. The perfect man. So, Jesus having kids fucks up the whole Bible story. And then what they're trying to say is, in the novel, they trace the name to a French family known as the Merovingians, which is another weird coincidence that the Matrix movie uses a character named the Merovingian, and then Neo is like sacrificed and comes back to life like a Jesus figure. Like the whole, you gotta see these, you gotta like, once you understand how this history is woven, yo, you can see this shit in every fucking thing, yo. It's in, these stories are everywhere. They're so fucking common. They've just been retold and rehashed and renamed and rearranged. And so after I finished, well, I actually started one book and got halfway through it, and then I started another book, and now I'm almost finished with that book. So I think I'm gonna finish the one that I'm mostly done with, and then I'll go back and finish the other book that I got halfway through, and then I'll read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and see what the fuck that shit talks about, and see if there's anything I can learn from it. So I say, man, when you in the house, you ain't got to be bored. It's kind of chilly in here. Turn that baseboard heat on. Close these doors. Close. Damn it. And the comments are stuck. If man is in God's image, who's God's mate? That's a really good question. God is perfect. He doesn't need a mate. God needs nothing, but he created everything. That's a really hard conundrum for me. Like, if you're perfect, you are a perfect being. Why do you need anything? Why do you have to create anything? And exactly, God doesn't have a mate, but man is made in God's image, and man has a mate. So that means that only man is made in God's image, and woman is made in man's image, which don't make sense either. A lot of fucking nonsensical shit, bro. I got one of those fucking. There's an advertisement up here for like the little face warmers and neck warmers for like hunters and shit, but got all the different patterns on it. Or people who ride like bikes and shit. I wonder if those would be considered as face coverings. I mean, it can cover your nose and your mouth, and you can still breathe through that shit. I got one. I just have no idea where it would be at right now. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know where that shit is at. Where would that motherfucker be? You know what? I might have to try to find that shit, dig that shit out, and start wearing that shit. If they're gonna make it, if they're gonna make it mandatory to wear face coverings, I'm gonna wear some cool shit. Can't believe we gotta succumb to these fucking weird ass ordinances and fucking laws and shit. Like, yo, the world is fucking crazy, yo. You can't go in public areas unless you have your fucking face covered. Before they called that shit attempted robbery. Now they call this shit being a responsible citizen. You see how shit changed? Now there's gonna be even more reasons for cops to shoot motherfuckers. He had a mask on. Coronavirus, bitch. Like this. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. And it's like the whole world's going crazy. Got your own crib, feeling like a Cajun. Now the shit, yo. They got your own crib, feeling like a fucking Cajun. You can't go outside without your face being covered in. You gotta stand in line outside the building. Only 5 people let in at a time. No women and children. What happened? What it? Oh, man, I thought this was just track by track. This is like some weird mix. That was short as shit though. So I added this whole fucking mix when I thought I added just the one beat. I just wanted that. That shit was hot. My bad, guys. Thinking about that face mask really made me want to try to find that shit, yo. I looked in my. I want to see this shit. Fuck. Yo, I hate when the fucking chat gets stuck, yo. about some brushing. Alright guys, I'm so tempted to start the stream over just to see if we can get the fucking comments to stay up there, motherfucker. But I don't know, man. We might just keep it running. Yeah, already at 40 minutes. Y'all ready for this shit? Walk lightly, but carry a big stick. Yeah, walk softly, but carry your big stick. Stay home if you're sick, but come over if you're thick. Walk softly, but carry your big stick. Stay home if you're sick, but come over if you're thick. The Joy of Painting with your host, Travis Prince. Today on this episode of The Joy of Painting, we'll be working on another installment to the Reader series. This piece will feature a book by the renowned artist. Oh, did I say artist? I meant to say author. We just heard that. How many times you gotta mix this same track? You keep mixing the same track. Now I don't want to listen to it anymore. I don't want to hear it. This installment of the Reader Series features a book by the famous renowned author, Dr. Amos Nelson Wilson. Oh, if the chats ain't gonna work, that motherfucker say, fuck that shit, man. Go full screen, bro. Man, say fuck all that sidebar shit. You know, not with the games, man. Full screen this motherfucker, man. Edge to edge. Yo, that shit look hella different, son. Yeah, that shit look hella different without the sidebar. Damn, it's all good. That's how we doing it now. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck that reading them same 2 comments over and over and over again. I'm tired of looking at that shit, man. Get that shit off the goddamn screen, trap. Every time his chat freezes, this nigga don't never full screen. He just let it sit up there. I be thinking to myself, why did he do that? Should I say something? I'm just say, yo, man, hey, full screen the damn stream, bro. Jesus. You think he's smart sometimes, but then he do some shit that you be like, this nigga not that smart, yo. This motherfucker won't think, motherfucker. Shit. How long has the chat been frozen? You just said you're not going to restart the stream. Let's see how we can work this out then. My bag, bro. I'm hating myself sometimes. Hate myself. Let's get some science in real quick.
This episode is sponsored by Audible. The universe is a vast and ancient place where we hope to find life besides our own. We often speculate about alien life and how it might differ, including life which might operate on entirely different chemistry than our own. But how realistic is that? Almost since we began seriously contemplating life on other worlds, we speculated that perhaps it might not run on chemistry similar to our own. We'll be examining some of those alternative chemistries today, particularly silicon, as well as some totally different approaches to life which might avoid chemical fuel in favor of something like running on direct sunlight by photovoltaic power, or even stranger sources like lightning on storm-racked worlds or on geothermal power. I want to say from the outset, though, that these are probably real rarities we're discussing today. Life needs power to run on and raw materials that are amenable to being rearranged into complex living forms. The combination of sunlight, carbon compounds, and water fits those needs amazingly well, and plants the right distance from their sun tend to be places where carbon and water are plentiful. So for life to form based on those ingredients is far more probable than the alternatives we're discussing.
Hold on, guys.
Or appears to be. On the other hand, when discussing improbabilities, we always have to remember that the universe is fairly large. With 10 to the 24 stars in the observable universe, If an event is so rare it can only happen in one stellar system in a quadrillion, it's already happened about 1,000,000 times just among the galaxies we can see. But exactly how improbable these alternative life forms are is impossible to say. Life on Earth is still the only example we know of life in any form, so any statistical estimates we make on the topic will come with very wide margins of uncertainty. And simulating an entire stellar system down to the level of detail of individual pools of organic molecules forming on various bodies is an immense computational task. So we won't be doing statistical studies on simulated universes any decade soon. As we discussed in the episode Why Life Exists, we have some reason to think that life tends to pop up any place with a decent energy flux and a soup of the right components mixing together. But we don't actually know much about the conditions or ingredients of the primordial soup that we ourselves emerged from, let alone what else our soup could have formed if it had been a bit different. We mentioned sunlight, carbon, and water as great ingredients for easy formation of life. But carbon and water aren't necessarily plentiful every place with a big power influx. Hotter planets offer plenty of energy, but they are less likely to have liquid water. One of the reasons silicon-based life is considered a likely possible alternative to carbon-based life is that silicon compounds can withstand temperatures we expect to find on hot planets similar to Mercury or near geothermal vents like those in our oceans and on Jupiter's moon Europa. But before we dig very deep, we should clarify exactly what we mean by that term, silicon-based life. An artificial intelligence running on processors built from silicon wafers could reasonably call itself silicon-based, but not in the way we are talking about in this episode, though we will discuss some parallel scenarios later. We build computer processors on silicon wafers because silicon crystals have some very useful electrical properties that are easy to change to suit our engineering needs. Crystalline silicon is the simplest of a class of materials called semiconductors, meaning the crystal conducts electricity like a metal under certain circumstances, but becomes an insulator like glass under others. And we can adjust these conductive properties by doping the silicon, which means adding trace amounts of other elements. This is what makes it possible to create silicon electric components that conduct electricity differently depending on the direction, temperature, or light levels, and most importantly to use a control signal to amplify another or shut off another electrical signal. In other words, to make transistors, which are the whole basis of modern digital computers. But those are all the properties of silicon crystals, and the silicon-based life we are talking about at the moment makes use of entirely different chemical properties of silicon that appear not when it's bound to itself in a crystal, but when it's bound to atoms of other elements in a molecule. Silicon appears right beneath carbon on the periodic table of elements, because they both have 4 electrons in their outermost electron shell, available to form 4 chemical bonds with other atoms. If you look at the atomic structure of any stable carbon-containing molecule, you'll see the carbon atoms all have 4 bonds. Compounds like carbon monoxide, in which the carbon has 3 bonds with the oxygen, are highly reactive because the carbon would be so much more stable if it could just form a 4th bond with something. Silicon has 8 more electrons than carbon, 1 more full shell, but still 4 in its outermost or valence shell, which is available for bonding. So nearly every simple carbon-containing molecule has a silicon analog, but not all of those analogs exist on Earth or in nature. Silicon is a larger, heavier atom than carbon, and having the same number of bonds doesn't mean the bonds have the same strength or function in the same way. So analogous molecules often have very different properties. For example, silane is a silicon atom bound to 4 hydrogen atoms, the analog of methane, and it has very similar properties to methane apart from being twice as dense and boiling at negative 169 Fahrenheit, or 161 Kelvin, instead of negative 259 Fahrenheit, or 112 Kelvin. Silicon dioxide gas has the same molecular structure as carbon dioxide, but its boiling point is over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit hotter, so we usually only see it in its crystalline form, quartz. Carbon dioxide can form the same crystalline structure as quartz, but only at extremely high pressures and frigid temperatures. And silicon monoxide is even less stable and more reactive than carbon monoxide. So if you heat it up enough to turn it into a gas, it turns into silicon and silicon dioxide rather quickly. So when we look at the long, elegant chains and complex structures that carbon forms in organic molecules, we can expect to find analogs to most of them. But the analogs will have similar yet different chemical properties. But there are some carbon compounds that don't have silicon analogs, and vice versa. If silicon-based life exists, the chemical processes on which it is based won't all have direct carbon-based analogs either. But it is reasonable to expect that under the right conditions, natural selection can develop uniquely silicon-based processes as well as it did for carbon. Loosely speaking, everything involving such silicon analogs would take more energy to do it. If every bond change takes a little more energy, it makes creating something complex and dynamic, and shifting that much harder and disadvantaged. Which may be why you'd get carbon-based life even where silicon was more plentiful. It's just cheaper to run to achieve the same effect. Now, as mentioned, Earth's crust has more than carbon, and you might be wondering why. Carbon is a lot more plentiful than silicon in the universe, the fourth most abundant element after hydrogen, helium, and oxygen, and carbon is about 7 times more plentiful than silicon. But silicon is the second most abundant element on Earth's crust, right after oxygen, and almost everything we call dirt or rock or sand or water is some mix of one or both, whereas carbon is a lot more rare. In the universe at large, it may be 7 times more plentiful than silicon, but in the crust, it's the other way around and then some. There's hundreds of times more silicon than carbon. Silicon tends to remain at the surface of a molten protoplanet and linger, floating up top, while carbon bonds to plenty of things, like iron to form steel and in big complex organic molecules. There's plenty of carbon inside Earth, but it's way down, not much is near the surface. Interestingly, a world more massive than Earth might have even less crustal carbon, because the same geological forces and interactions that pulled the carbon down on Earth and sequestered it from the crust might have been a good deal stronger. Same for a hotter world too, perhaps, where silicon would likely work better than carbon for many complex chemicals and macromolecules. In such cases, if silicon life is possible just less preferred than carbon, things that lower available carbon or make carbon life less viable might allow silicon life to emerge. The same applies to other hypothetical chemistries we'll get to, because fundamentally, even if carbon is the optimal path to life, it doesn't matter in places where the conditions don't permit it, either from an absence of carbon or temperatures, pressures, or radiation that interfere with organic carbon chemistry. One problem of note, while we call ourselves carbon-based, almost all of our mass is actually water. Now, water is plentiful enough. It's probably the most common molecule in the universe, after stuff like monatomic helium and diatomic hydrogen. But actual water is a very small part of that abundance in favor of ice or gas. You can only have liquid water in a fairly narrow window of pressure and temperature, and most planets aren't likely to have liquid water oceans under a thick atmosphere. Water, due to its immense abundance and its reputation as a universal solvent, due to its polar nature, is ideal as the primary medium of life because so many things dissolve in it, and there's so much of it. Not everything dissolves in water, of course, nor would a liquid need to be a great solvent, just capable of dissolving the key elements for a given alternative biochemistry to carbon. Silicon dioxide, also a very abundant substance, has a very large range of temperatures it can be liquid, but it's a high one, hot inner planet or subterranean molten temperatures, like in the lower crust or mantle of a world, which is an option for life too. Hypothetical alternate chemistry for this or molten silicate rock would likely involve silicon and oxygen, of course, and quite possibly aluminum. Sodium chloride or salt is another high-temperature solvent option. Another decently plausible liquid would be supercritical carbon dioxide, though this would seem to favor carbon abundance in the medium, or supercritical hydrogen, which is obviously going to be abundant inside any gas giant, and possibly super-Earth or mini-Neptune planets, which we've some reason to believe will be very common elsewhere than our own solar system. Hydrogen sulfide should be abundant and is the closest chemical analog to water, though a poor solvent, but may be abundant below the surface on more volcanic worlds like Jupiter's moon Io. Tidally racked moons of cold and distant gas giants are decently plausible candidates for life, as they could have abundant subsurface oceans of water or something else, just as another of Jupiter's moons, Europa, has. That life might be fueled by tidal power as opposed to sunlight, and it's worth remembering that photosynthesis came after life on Earth, which we have good reason to think developed around geothermal oceanic vents anyway. Sunlight is a vastly superior power source, but you work with what you got. And most of the planets and moons in the universe ain't got much of it, so may have to use alternative power sources. Warmth helps life, but sunlight isn't the only source for that. And most of the universe is rather cold too, and far from suns we might see liquid nitrogen or hydrogen as a possible liquid medium for life, as might be hydrogen fluoride, ammonia, or methane liquid. Hydrogen fluoride isn't good for Earth-based life, but is stable with paraffin waxes, so you might have some amusing equivalent to wax dolls as a life form somewhere. Methane solvent life might be plausible on places like Saturn's moon Titan, using acrylonitrile, an organic compound of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, which we believe to be decently abundant on Titan, and large core moons like Titan are likely to be fairly abundant in the universe. There's also plausible options for hydrogen chloride, sulfuric acid, which is prevalent in Venus's atmosphere, formic acid, nitric acid, and methanol. Note how many are commonly known as acids. Again, what you're looking for in a medium for life is probably a liquid that dissolves stuff to permit a soup. We should not assume that is an absolute requirement, though. Organoboron chemistries, those based on boron, might be plausible, but are a good example of abundance mattering. There's not much boron out there, and places that would tend to concentrate would also tend to have plenty of alternative elements. It's also explosive in Earth's atmosphere, and while more stable in a reducing environment, you'd presumably only get that in a place heavy on those other elements. As we mentioned, silicon is rarer than carbon, though only by an order of magnitude, and its chemical properties allow it to stay near the surface of a world where carbon might get removed. And not so for boron. Its elemental abundance in the universe is many thousands of times less than carbon or silicon. This stuff is almost as rare as lithium and even rarer than phosphorus. It's not hyper-rare like a lot of heavier elements, but would be a good example of a substance where even if life by it is possible, unless you can find some natural process that would tend to either make it more locally concentrated or remove other more abundant substances from play, you wouldn't expect life.
His name is Isaac Arthur. He's been doing this for about 6 or 7 years. Longer. In the beginning, it was way worse. He actually has a speech therapist, and he's working on his speech impediment. He's in his mid-30s. He's dealt with this shit his whole fucking life. He knows, everybody knows he has a speech impediment, but the motherfucker's a great scientist and futurist.
Might create life based on improbable foundations, either because it worked well for a purpose or simply out of curiosity. If you can do it in a lab, it can theoretically occur in nature, albeit so improbable to occur naturally that it's considerably less likely than not to ever happen naturally even once in this entire universe. Of course, we're not necessarily limited to discussing this universe, and if Mini Ward's interpretation of quantum is right about multiverses, you probably would have every conceivable chemistry spawn life. See the Infinite Improbability Issues episode for more discussion of that. Nor would we be limited to universes that were the same as our own, just with different timelines, possibly having different strengths of the fundamental physical forces, or even different forces, different elements, and so on. You could potentially have atoms, and thus chemicals in life, forming around strange or charm quarks rather than up and down ones as most matter in this universe has, or even life emerging in places with more than 3 physical dimensions. We will bypass that for today, though you can also see the Boltzmann brain and anthropic principle episode for some of those scenarios. But back in our own mundane universe, we are left with the notion that the 2 most critical things for life are a decent concentration of matter and a source of energy. As we said a bit ago, that need not be sunlight. Even liquid might not be needed in a classic sense. Many worlds are probably racked with storms and lightning, and we might imagine something like a natural lightning rod popping up in such places, or life that ran on electricity as opposed to classic organic chemistry. As we looked at in the recent episode Why Life Exists, there are some theories that life will tend to pop up inevitably as a physical consequence of energy flux. So I could imagine some storm-racked mineral-rich world getting its surface shot through and semiconductor crystals as some sort of natural computer. You could conceivably get natural formation of superconductors too. We don't know of any room temperature superconductors yet. Hopefully there are some. But of course that's Earth's room temperature. Lots of cold planets and moons are cold enough for known superconductors. Natural or organic or quasi-organic conductors or semiconductors could also offer life a photovoltaic pathway for energy, as opposed to chemical photosynthesis. Leaves that were instead solar panels, and that might be a good deal more efficient and durable. We already mentioned how tidally powered environments might be common on moons of gas giants, but we could also see nuclear-based life. Even ignoring that we have some gamma-trophic life forms we found at places like Chernobyl, we have good reason to believe Earth used to have weak natural fission reactors, where a good amount of uranium was present. And younger worlds, or those that possibly got smacked by a uranium-rich extrasolar asteroid from some younger system, might have life emerge powered by that. Presumably, it wouldn't have a problem mutating under the circumstances. Atomic or nuclear ecology shouldn't be ruled out either. Needless to say, high gamma, alpha, or neutron radiation would generally be detrimental to life, as those are prone to smashing up delicate and complex macromolecules like proteins or DNA, or their non-carbon analogs. But it might be possible, and such life would gain a very abundant power supply. However, beta radiation is another matter. It's a lot less deadly to life, and we discussed the notion of a diamond battery
Tyson,
before.
we getting on the game in a little
while,
or what, bro?
Carbon-14 rather than regular carbon. And while that obviously would be carbon-based, since carbon-14 is made by atmospheric processes.
Yo, the only thing though, I swear, man, that shit
just
just so fucking laggy lately, dude. Like,
and in which such
PlayStation Network has
batteries
been
might form
fucking
naturally.
up major, yo.
Though it's a bit hard to imagine a geological process that would get you that.
You know, Sony workers are essential. Y'all can't do y'all job from home, man. Y'all need to stay on top of the servers. Keep these shits connected properly, yo, because the lag was fucking, y'all. I was getting so frustrated. And I, like I said, I was up early this morning trying to play that shit, yo, the same shit, yo. I'm like, yo, this lag is stupid.
Might be viable for atomic ecology
shit is stupid
Such
crazy
things
on
would
that
not
shit
be
right now.
long-lasting, so either it has to have a natural source of replenishment, or be on very young worlds, left over from supernova nucleosynthesis, producing short half-life materials. However, not only might that often be the case, especially in star clusters where things are packed together tighter than our local bubble of the galaxy, but time is a dubious concept with life. Time, in any meaningful sense, is about how much living you can get done. So for instance, an ice-cored rock where life exists in liquid hydrogen might have all its chemical processes moving at just 1% of what they do here. And so life might be incredibly slow and long-lived. But that's problematic for evolution. Some world running at that effective biological speed might be far older than Earth, but barely have reached simple multicellular life. Additionally, worlds that are power-starved could still host life, but diversity in large food chains get harder, because it's barely got a fraction of the power to run life that Earth does. For the same reason modern societies get more science done than older ones. We have more people to do research, and also more people who can specialize and more narrowly. Low-energy worlds would tend to have less biological niches and diversity for life to mutate and evolve in, and also have it all running slower. Presumably, anyway. Again, if it's life running on electricity...
Talk about, oh, I can't take this dude serious. He sound like Elmer Fudd. But this motherfucker's average vocabulary is like twice that of anybody else's, bro. Like, he just uses words like that you don't use every day.
But the energy abundance for organisms is high enough. They might live and multiply and evolve quite fast. Robert L. Ford played with that notion a bit in his classic novel Dragon's Egg, where the natives evolve on a neutron star and everything is sped up to a ridiculous degree. The smaller your scale, the faster stuff happens. So anything based down more at the atomic and quantum scale, as opposed to the microscopic realm of cells and massive macromolecules, might run much quicker and with lower energy. Amusingly, they might be an exception to our normal Fermi paradox assumption that all life that can master the science of interstellar travel would spread out. We can conceivably reach neighboring stars in a mere generation, to us. But if they live a whole life in what we call minutes, their trip would be millions of generations long, and probably not attractive. On the flip side, ultra-slow life, like some critter slowly swimming around lakes of supercooled methane or hydrogen, might find a conversation abrupt if it took only a few months. For them, interstellar travel and light lag on communications would be a minor irritation. But odds are also good they haven't had enough time to evolve into existence yet. Key notion though, Once we leave behind the template of carbon-based life, we can't assume the biological or neurological processes happen on anything like our scale of time. They might experience a year's worth of life in minutes, or a minute's worth of life in years.
Same difference, yeah.
There's no telling what might be possible.
Motherfucker from Australia don't sound like a British person, and a British person don't sound like a fucking Indian person, and an Indian person don't sound like an American, and all this can be speaking English. And everybody sound fucking different.
I suspect, though, that they are very low. However, in centuries to come,
maybe he's from a little town in northern Sweden where everybody talks like that.
Possible alternatives are for life on other worlds, while we're here on Earth first, rather than by finding it digging around in other solar systems. Simply from the long travel times to explore those worlds, when and if we get the technology for interstellar spaceships. The first alien life we meet might be homegrown by us rather than discovered.
I gotta take up for my homie, yo, Isaac Arthur. I've listened to hours upon hours of this guy, and I try to. My uncle, one of my uncles, this motherfucker is like, he's one of the smartest people I know. And he said the same thing. He's like, yo, this dude, it's hard for me to listen to him because of the way he talks. I'm like, come on, really? This dude is fucking smart as shit, bro. Like, he just talked about really cool ass future science shit. He's like, yeah, I'm good.
Is full of strange aliens, but many authors only give glancing, superficial looks at the topic of their biology or psychology. There are plenty of exceptions, and one who does a particularly good job is Vernor Vinge in his novel A Fire Upon the Deep, which gives us alien biology, hive mind psychology, and lots of post-biological life in a novel that's considered one of the great classics of sci-fi. And he continues to bring forward powerful and thought-provoking ideas in the rest of his Zones of Thought series. Vinge is one of the big thinkers in science fiction, often presenting startling ideas and predictions, and if you'd like to try the series out, you can find it on Audible. Audible has an amazing catalog of audiobooks, and Audible members can choose 3 titles every month, 1 audiobook, and 2 exclusive Audible originals you can't hear anywhere else, including access to news, original audio shows, and guided fitness programs. And since you can listen to your audiobooks anywhere on any device and seamlessly pick up where you left off, they're great for commuting, running errands, or going to the gym. You can start listening today with a 30-day Audible trial. Choose 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. Just visit the link in the episode description, audible.com/Isaac, or text Isaac to 500-500. So next week, we'll be looking at how trade and economics might look in the future, both here on Earth and out in space as we colonize the galaxy in Economies of the Future. The week after that, we'll continue that discussion of what civilization might look like as we spread out to other worlds in Genetic Divergence and Civilization.
That's what I always think about, yo, genetic divergence.
Sunday on the future not of humanity, but of garbage. If you want to know us when those and other episodes come out, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to help support future episodes, you can visit our website, isaacarthur.net, to donate to the channel, check out our catalog of episodes or book recommendations, or buy some awesome SFIA merchandise.
SIA?
Until next time, thanks for watching, and have a great week.
Yeah, but genetic divergence, he's done a few talks on that, and saying that would, if we are the first intelligent life, then we are all the future aliens, all the aliens that we can dream about in sci-fi stories and movies and stuff. We are those, we're just not there yet. By venturing out into the cosmos, becoming a galactic society, and either discovering planets that are habitable for our type of life form, or whether it be terraforming a planet to make it more hospitable, or whether we genetically modify ourselves so that we can exist in different conditions, or if we go through this singularity and we're able to upload our minds into a cybernetic body that really doesn't need to breathe or eat or doesn't feel hot or cold, and then you can basically live on any planet you want almost, But by doing these different processes, we will eventually create different races of beings. And if we're able to go to Mars and actually colonize Mars in 1,000 years, or even 2-3,000 years of colonization on Mars, those many generations down the line will not be like the humans of Earth. They will be more conditioned to living in a Martian environment, whether it be natural, like you say, by terraforming, or artificial, where you're creating artificial atmospheric pressures and gravities. You're still going to be adapted differently after so many generations. Where if a Martian would go back to Earth, their body would feel different, or maybe it would be, feel different for them to breathe or something. Who knows? But essentially, they wouldn't be like a normal Earth human. Or if we go to fucking the Andromeda constellation and find a planet to live on there, maybe the sun is, we have a yellow sun. Maybe, in a different star system, there's a blue sun or a red sun, which causes the plant life to be different. And after so many generations of living under those conditions, then the human life would become more adapted and would be different. But yeah, there's gonna be there's definitely gonna be a genetic divergence in a few thousand years if we don't fucking kill ourselves here on this planet. Just keep humanity alive, motherfuckers. We made it this far. Let's just keep pushing. Become a fucking, like I said, a goddamn or solar system spanning civilization, and then you can diverge from that shit. We might wipe ourselves out before we really get out there anywhere. That's why Elon Musk scared as shit. He like, man, I ain't never gonna make it to Mars. Y'all niggas are crazy. Everybody acting a damn fool. Famines, poverty, war, diseases, and death. He's like, yeah, I just want to go to Mars. I'm gonna just try to start like my own civilization of, and like the first 100 years, you ain't gonna, like, regular people just can't go there. You only sending scientists. That's all you need there. The first colonies on Mars are not gonna be average nitwits like you and I. So you're gonna have this already, like, this intellectual elite group that would have this superiority complex because their ancestors were the founders. It's kind of like America. Same shit. It'll be something like that. And we are superior because we come from the intellectuals who came up with all the ideas. And then when normal people start going there, it'd just be all fucked up already. I love mankind, but we're some fucked up ass creatures. And then just knowing that how people with power abuse their power, no matter what. It's just like when it happens, you're like, I'm not surprised. The chief of police did what? Really? The president did what? The mayor did what? The judge did what? The police officer, it don't matter. Like, you just like, he abuses power. Happens all the time. Not surprised. And that's the sad part. We're used to being abused. I'm used to the abuse. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I feel like that. They already got you used to being stuck in your damn house. Imagine what else they gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Get used to it, man. Get used to it. What you gonna do? Go to war? You gonna go to war against us? What? Get used to it. Take it on the chin. Chin up. Chin up. There you go. Chin up. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Do I diddy dum diddy do. So what they're saying is they're gonna roll out these stimulus checks in different income brackets, I'm guessing. So it's like if you make less than $25,000 a year or some shit like that, you get your check first. Then if you make less than like $40,000 a year, and then if you make less than $60,000 a year or something like that. And then the people who make, I think it stops at 90,000. If you make 90,000 or more a year, I don't think you get a stimulus check. I heard this one preacher, he was saying donate your entire stimulus check to the church. Because there's missionaries out there who haven't been paid in a month. There are organ players and deacons who haven't been paid. Then get a real job, bro. Motherfucker just live off the church. That's all you do. You just go to church. And that's your job. That's your full-time job, the church. Jesus Christ. Y'all don't pay taxes? Damn. Sounds like a racket. Church don't pay taxes? What? Nah. Churches are exempt. They're tax-free, bro. That's why Kanye West started his church. What? Ain't no fucking fool, man. Come on, man. Where all them tax dollars at? Alright, man, that went into my church organization. You know, everything coming through the church now. So, no taxes, homie. We are a non-profit. Non-profit, but how much donations do y'all get each Sunday? Oh, we pull in the dough now. We be pulling in the dough. But then we donate that money to the Kanye West Foundation. That's why I'm gonna just start my church, man. Start my own little church up, you know what I'm saying? Preach my little shit. You know what I'm saying? No taxes. But I need y'all, and I ain't gonna hit y'all like the regular churches with that 10% for tithes and offerings. I don't want nothing but 7%, yo. 10%, that shit kinda high. That shit sound kinda high. But, you know, 7% of your income has to go to tithes and offerings of the church and the building fund, and so we can keep the lights on and the water on in here, so we can fellowship in peace. You know what I'm saying? Who coming to my church? Preach that real gospel. Basically, my church is gonna be a money pool. We're gonna come here. We're gonna discuss the fallacious characteristics of all religions and the empowerment of economic understanding. We're gonna take these tithes and offerings, and for a whole year, we're gonna pay the bills and shit. And at the end of the year, with all the tithes and offerings, we as a group will vote on who deserves all the tithes and offerings for that year, and they must invest that money in either a home or a business. But if you already have a home, you can't get the money until everybody else has a home. And then after you get all the homes and everybody has a home, now you can buy another home and make that a business, or you can use the money to start up a business. That's what I feel like churches should do. This church has been in operation since 1969, and y'all ain't bought nobody a house yet. Not one member has a home that is paid for from the church since 1969. Really? What y'all do with all that damn money? Y'all been taking tithes and offerings since my mama been in school. Come on, man. Y'all ain't bought nobody a house yet on the church, because y'all ain't got to pay no taxes now. I know the church is tax free. All the dollars that come into the church are in the church. All the dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Why y'all don't buy nobody a house with that money? And then the next year, buy somebody else a house who ain't got one. That's what we're gonna do at the church. What the name of my church gonna be? I don't know. The Incredible Hulk. What? Gotta come up with a catchy name for my my church. Need a catchy name. And I'm not gonna call myself a priest, a pastor, a reverend, a father, or none of that shit. Call myself the dude. Your dudeness, or something like that. You know. Then when I step down, the next guy steps up. It's gonna be the new dude who took the old dude's place. Make it a little simple. I want to join the organization. Who should I talk to? Talk to the dude over there. Him? No, not that guy. That dude. Oh, that dude. Yo, what's up, dude? What's up, bro? They say you looking for a better way. Yes. Your dudeness. Just finally left my old church. These motherfuckers preaching that bullshit. I need some economic stability in my life. Come to the right place, boy. I gotta file some, well, not file some shit, but I gotta get some money orders and pay my property taxes in South Carolina. Fuck. Property taxes. It's hard holding like 2 properties, yo. I be wanting to sell that shit down there, but I know that shit gonna come in handy when this outbreak starts. If this shit gets real bad. They talking about we bent the curve, we're past the peak. Alright, man. I still might try some funny shit. Keep my little piece of land just in case I need to run the fuck off the grid. Hide from everybody. Where them Prince boys went? Nobody ain't seen them. Motherfucker, we good. Don't worry about where we at. We out here. And damn, every time I get that tax in the mail, like, motherfucker. Son of a bitch. How I gotta pay to keep my own fucking land, motherfuckers. I pay for the land. Now I gotta pay you every year to keep it? And no matter how many years I pay, if I miss 1 year, you gonna try to take it from me? Damn, America. Fuck wrong with y'all? Y'all some greedy little bitches, bro. Goddamn. A property tax. You wanna own land in this country, bitch? Huh? You do? Alright. Yeah. Give me that money. Now, give me some more money. I'll be back next year. You wanna keep this property? You do? Money. Damn, bitch, I already paid you for this shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I want more money for your property. Now, it's property taxes, bitch. You want me to come take your shit? I mean, you want me to come take my shit from you that I'm letting you borrow? That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm just borrowing this motherfucker. Feels like I still paying goddamn rent. Like, I thought that was the whole point of owning a property. Is so you not renting, because it's yours. No. Not in America. In America, everybody's a renter. Alright, is it lunchtime? Because I'm hungry. I cooked some shit last night, though. Yo, that shit last night, though. Bruh. This is America. Boozy, what's up, man? Yo, we about to get on fucking Call of Duty. About to go play some COD. Some laggy ass COD. Then I'm gonna die a bunch of times. I'm gonna get real pissed off and I'm just turn that shit off and then like sit on social media for 2 hours. Making a bunch of posts about how I'm an atheist. That's a fun afternoon. That sounds fun. Let's do that. So many people we can piss off the day. I'm not trolling. I'm not a troll. But I do not give a fuck about your feelings. Especially on social media. And if you know me, bitch, call me. Let's talk about it. What's up? What's good? And my homegirl, yo, I got a homie. She will do that shit too, yo. Hello? What up, yo? Yeah. About that post you made. And well, look, that shit's da 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 da, and this and this and this, and then I say my little piece. Then she say her little piece, and I say my little piece because she's smart too, and and she told me she used to like debating more, but not so much lately. But don't think you just gonna be like 1, 2, 3, and then it's done. Like no, cause she studied, she researched, and she got her own opinions and shit too. And it's like, but she hit me up a little while ago with some. I don't exactly agree with that. I was gonna post. I was gonna write a post on your page, but I didn't want to. You know how that goes, and it goes back and forth so many fucking times, and I'm like, yeah, I feel you. And then everybody else want to jump in. I was like, yeah, so it's easier just to talk sometimes. Express your own ideas. And then the other day she sent me this fucking link and she was like, what do you think? And then instead of even, I didn't even watch it all the way through. I watched like the first little bit of it. I was like, what the fuck? It's kind of disturbing. So instead of even making a reply, I just sent her some links to some other shit as my reply. And it's like, and then I noticed she checked the links out, and I was like, you don't agree with that with what you just sent me, do you? She's like, hell no. It's just I can't believe that somebody would say something like that, and I'm like, yeah, hey, it is what it is, homie. Yo, my hand is magnificent, bro. Like this brushwork, son. I be looking at how I be doing this shit, yo, and how I be talking and looking at other shit, yo. I be on autopilot sometimes when I be painting, yo. That shit just like, I just put paint on the brush, and then my hand just do the shit by itself. So I don't even be thinking about what I'm doing sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Autopilot. And then I'm looking at myself painting, and it's like, that's nice. Like I'm watching somebody else. Like he's doing a really good job right now. You know, I like how that looks, dude. And it's like, oh, that's me doing that. It's like, you know what? That's when you know you found your zone. The motherfucker said he be in the zone. That's what it is, boy. And you ain't never felt that shit before. And like, I literally felt that just now. That's why I really had to like vocalize that shit, because I was like looking at my own hand like it was detached from my body. Like this shit is coming out nice. I was in the zone, the auto zone. You know, autopilot. That shit on autopilot, that shit just be like boom. That's how you know you're having fun too. Like that shit just going, just flowing. You know what I'm saying? Shit with this goddamn brush, boy. That's so damn good. Man, you know what? I'm gonna try to paint a picture in my sleep. You know, dead ass. And just tape a paintbrush to my hand. Right? And then I just need to position myself on the bed in a way where I know I won't like roll over or some shit. And then just have the canvas like on the floor next to the bed. And then just paint in my sleep. And wake up the next morning to a masterpiece. Who knows? Try this shit. Ooh, I'm so hungry. Oh yeah, last night though, I cooked that shit last night, boy. I cooked that had that salmon. I baked some salmon, and I made some rice, some black eyed peas, and some yellow squash. Boy, listen here. When I say I put my foot in it, I mean, they ain't really shit to cook, but it was delicious though. It was delicious. You know what I'm saying? All the work and preparation I had to do to open that can of black eyed peas and open that can of squash. You know what I'm saying? That's hard work. Opening them cans and pouring it in a pot. And then I had to open that piece of fish, put it in the oven. It's complicated shit, bro. Came out good, though. Came out good. I was thinking about that shit, too. Like, the most complicated thing I'm doing right now is boiling some fucking rice. Like, really? And that's only because you gotta measure how much rice to water ratio you need so your rice not mushy and so it ain't hard. But you can eyeball that shit like a gram. Everything else is just like, I don't know, you get this Cape Cod or what, some brand of fish, and they come like in like individually wrapped, like shrink wrap freezer bags or some shit, yo. But they're cool. Like I said, so you get them in the pack, but you can take like 1 or 2 out, and they're in their own individual packaging. So I'm like, shit, them shits, you ain't gotta really do shit to prepare the fish. What you gonna do? Thaw that shit out, take it out the pack, set it on the pan, open some cans, put them in the pot. Get some rice, put it in the pot. Motherfuckers be making cooking seem like it hard as shit. You ain't really doing shit, nigga. All this shit, in America, man, we so lazy. All our food is pre-packaged, pre-prepared, shrink wrapped, freeze dried, condensed, and microwavable. You don't even gotta do shit to cook at all. And then motherfuckers still hate to do that. Bitch, you just opened a can of black eyed peas. How hard was it to put on a pot of rice? How complicated is it to season a piece of fish? But these heifers want to feed motherfuckers some ramen and some hamburger helper. Damn, bitch, you useless. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Who don't know that, Tyson? You better tell, man. You should have put that shit in bold letters and say it again. Cause motherfuckers act like that's the hardest fucking ratio to figure out, dude. Tell them again, man. 1.5 times the rice. All you need is a little bit of water floating above your rice. You put your rice in it, right? Now you put water in it until the water is level with the rice, and then put a little more water to cover the rice. That's your half. I can eyeball that shit, bro. I can eyeball a cup. Some of these women, They can't boil water. I'm telling you now. She know how to turn the damn stove on. What is this, a gas stove? Watch out. Move. Back up, bitch. I see you right now. You about to burn my damn house down. Back up. Get the fuck out the kitchen, man. Is this a gas stove? Alright, you're done. Hardest thing I did was cook rice. A little bit of salt. You know what salt does? It's just like the ocean, man. Salt makes the water dense, which makes anything in the water more buoyant, which means it floats easier because the water's denser due to the salt content. So if you boil eggs, you don't want your eggs sitting all on the bottom of the pot. You put a little salt in your water, and then your eggs will float while they boiling. Same thing with your noodles. Same thing with your rice. Put a little salt in there, make the water a little dense, Make anything in there buoyant, and then you get a more even boil. But I ain't trying to get all scientific with the rice recipes and shit. But man, I don't know. I learned that shit as a child. What y'all parents taught y'all? Huh? Some of y'all just you can't cook. What did you eat growing up? I used to like going to McDonald's and Sonic. I know you like going to McDonald's and Sonic. That's why your kid fat as you is. Look at y'all. You look like a Big Mac and a Happy Meal. I like going to McDonald's. Bitch, if you don't figure out how to cook some shit, motherfucker can't follow a recipe to save their damn life. So that's the skin. Oh, the skin that I'm in. The skin that I'm in. Oh, the skin that I'm in. I don't know where that came from. They say I'm just hungry. I gotta go eat. Go eat these leftovers from last night. Some of this salmon and rice. Some black eyed peas. And some yellow squash. Should have made some rolls. Some biscuits or something. You know how easy it would be to make biscuits? As easy as popping them bitches out the can, because that shit come in the can too. Y'all ain't got no goddamn excuses, man. Y'all acting like y'all in here sifting flour, measuring out buttermilk and lard, and rolling out dough. Y'all, man, y'all. And then I want to cook some bullshit and put that shit on a paper plate. Bitch, if you don't get that shit the fuck out my face, I ain't at no barbecue. It's no fucking cookout. Oh, you gonna wash dishes? Cause I'm eating off a plate, a glass plate. Oh, you know no paper plates in the house. They call me bougie. I don't know, man. That's just something about me. If I'm home, I got a heavy hand with my fork. I like cutting shit with my knife. You can't do that shit on the paper plate, man. You know what I'm saying? Paper plate's meant for shit like you gonna eat with your hands, or that you don't need to really be aggressive with, like a cookout food, a hot dog, a hamburger, some coleslaw. You don't need no knife for that shit. You don't gotta stab your fork for that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But if I eat some fish, I'm gonna cut my fish up. My steak, you cut my steak and shit. I mean, some pasta. I like to twirl my shit nice and hard. I need a plate, plate, not no paper plate. Bitch made some chicken nuggets and fries and put it on a paper plate. Talking about dinner. Who raised you? I am appalled. Alright, how long? I can't even tell how long we've been in here. I cook 3 times a week. I try to cook about 3 times a week. But I cook. Once again, I'm single, so I'm trying to cook too much at once where I'm throwing shit, having too much food and throwing shit away. But then I hate to cook for just one fucking meal too. Like, oh, I'm gonna just cook enough to eat now. Then I gotta cook again later. Like, nah. I cook enough at least for 2 or 3 meals. And yeah, I just try to do that shit like 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I normally cook more on the weekend, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. Cause I ain't at work. I got time to prepare shit, you know what I'm saying? Get shit done. But like during the week, man, I'll probably, Sunday, I hope I have enough leftovers from Sunday to take to work on Monday. I might cook something Tuesday. And hope that shit to carry over into Wednesday. Thursday, I'm making a sandwich. I'm eating a couple noodles. Feel me? Go home and have me a motherfucking pot pie for dinner. Fuck that. I mean, that's cooking, but not really. You know what I'm saying? I need a girlfriend. I miss saying, hey, babe, what's for dinner? Damn it, man. I hate asking myself that question. Like, damn, Trap, what's for dinner? I don't know. I don't know what's for dinner. Alright, guys, I'm gonna go heat up some leftovers, have some lunch, and play some video games. Peace.